So I talked to a lot of people that love neighborhoods that have mature trees, that are extremely well wooded, that have shade, that have character, but also has that nice environment that isn't just like a bunch of concrete thrown through a neighborhood. That whole feel of leaves and the trees blowing, the shade, the mature, the old big trees, that type of environment in a neighborhood is very sought after, and I get asked about it a lot. So what I like to do is find the best values in each price range that has that type of environment, that mature tree setting that's hard to replicate. So in this video, I'm going to talk about my top neighborhoods in every price range that is well wooded or has the most trees. And we're going to start in the under $400,000 price range because there are some in the lower price ranges that do have this type of vibe. There are two specifically I'm going to show in the map where these are. First of all, Virginia Beach is right here, big city, but lots of neighborhoods. We're going to start with the first one, which is Malibu. And if you look on the maps here, you see Kings Grant, you see Little Neck. Just south of there, on the very base of it, is almost like a subsidiary of Kings Grant. Right in the very corner here, this area right here is Malibu. And right there is Malibu Elementary School right here. This is all Malibu. Malibu is a neighborhood that has a lot of houses that are more smaller, like 3, maybe 4-bedroom houses, but like in the 1,300 square feet up to like 2,200 square feet, but these are mostly under $400,000. So if you do want a kind of a mature tree neighborhood, but also a house that is older, built in the 50s, built in the 60s, this is a great start. It's off of Virginia Beach Boulevard. It's close to maybe like 15 minutes away from the beach. You're also about 12 minutes away from town center. You're pretty equidistant from this whole side of Virginia Beach. Now, number 2 is right north of there is another nice neighborhood for the price called Kings Forest, which if you see right here, again, it's the base of Little Neck, which Little Neck, generally speaking, has a lot of trees. But if you go from Malibu, it blends right into Kings Forest, right above it. This area, a little bit higher in price, but you can see them under $400,000 again. The smaller ones, more like the 13 to 15 to 1,800 square foot range. But as you go into the 2 and up, you'll find them in the 4s and 450, 475 price range. But if you do find a house in Kings Forest that's off of Little Neck Road, I would suggest going after it if you like the tree coverage. And it's, again, one of the most affordable neighborhoods with the most tree coverage to me anywhere in Virginia Beach. And next to Malibu is also Birchwood Gardens and Theia Manor, which is across over into the Theia area, which I did a video about Theia recently. So I like this south section for the price between $400,000 and $500,000, but also the fact that you're close to areas that are a lot higher in price as you get higher up closer to the water, over $1 million plus. Now, a couple of others that are over $400,000, but closer between $400,000 and $500,000, there are 2 that I want to focus on a lot. One is Fox Run. And if you look at the map zooming out, you'll see it's more in the central part of Virginia Beach. You'll see you got Independence Boulevard right here. You've got Town Center and 264 right here. Well, just south of there's Edwin Drive right here. This is Fox Run, right around between Timberlake and Edwin Drives. This area here, while it's close to some real nice, like higher priced neighborhoods like Bellamy Manor, Larkspur, it's right in between. So you kind of drive from one, more expensive neighborhood, 5 and up, through another one into another neighborhood, 5 and up. But right in the middle, you'll see a nice little nook in there that can be anywhere from 400 to 475, even 500,000. These are built mostly in the 60s, and so you get a mixture of 2-story and ranch. So if you do want a ranch house, this is a spot you can find that has some affordability and also has, of course, the lot size that works for ranches, but also tree coverage. Now, you're close to Princess Anne Road. You're close to a lot of primary roads, not necessarily close to an interstate right next to one, but you're about 8 to 10 minutes away from 264, which takes you all through the rest of Virginia Beach towards 64. So I do like Fox Run a lot. It's a sneaky one, not a big one. And so for the price, I'm a big fan of these streets right in here. The next is Woods of Avalon. So this one has a lot of trees. Now, zooming out, you'll see this area called Fairfield. You see Whitehurst Landing. You see Avalon Terrace right here. Well, this is close to Interstate 64. Now, if you come off Providence Road, this area back here is Woods of Avalon. Lots of nice streets back here, but as you go further back, you'll find a lot of tree coverage, a real nice mixture of a lot of pine trees, other types of trees too, but you'll find anywhere from like the 425, 450 range to the 525 range. You'll find some bump over 500,000, but for the price and for the location, it's tucked away. You don't even really know it's here. People don't go here unless they have a reason to. But you've got tons of trees in here and lots of big ones. I had friends that lived on King Arthur Drive right here next to 64 and had a big tree in the back. You can put a swing set back there, tire swings, all that kind of stuff. It's a great neighborhood for that kind of thing. Now, there's no HOA, so it also feels a bit kind of not disheveled, but a little bit. I mean, it's just you've got a bunch of trees, lots of tree coverage, which means to falling leaves and pine needles, and no HOA leads to, if you don't have neighbors that take care of their yards, you have just a big mess, as well as lots of lack of grass growth if there are too many trees in the backyard, for example. Now, one drawback to living in woods of Avalon, even though the price is good, location, the size of houses, 3 to 5 bedrooms, 1,700 square feet to 25, even 3,000 sometimes square feet. The drawback is that the closer you get to Interstate 64, you will hear Interstate 64 in the background. So again, my friend that lived on King Arthur Drive, he was backed up to the interstate, and his backyard, the back fence was the wall that blocked the noise from the interstate to his house. You could still hear it quite a bit. So it's like big white noise as you walk outside. Now, as you go away from the interstate, you don't hear it as much, but definitely as you get closer to the interstate, those streets closest to it, you'll definitely hear it, and it would be something worth noting. It's something that if you're buying here from a different part of the country or world, if you see where these houses are, just be careful as to how close you are to the interstate system, so it doesn't become a problem for you if it's something that really bothers you as far as the noise pollution in the air. The next is, I think, one of my favorite price ranges for this type of neighborhood. There are 3 different neighborhoods I like. Number 1 is called Larkspur. Larkspur is one of my favorites in the entire Hampton Roads area. 5 to 600,000 mostly. You can even find them possibly cheaper than that, but usually 4 bedrooms, sometimes 3, but 4 to 5 bedrooms. 2,200 square feet to maybe 3,000-ish square feet range. And again, in that 475, 500 up to maybe 575, even closer to 6. And even some I've seen pop up close to 7, the big ones. But zooming in right here, you see Edwin Drive. This whole area right here around close to Holland Road. This is right next to Mount Trashmore Park, so you can walk across the street to Mount Trashmore. And I'll show you you can see at the satellite view. This is Larkspur right here. You can see how deep the tree coverage is in Larkspur. It's really great. And so if you want the mixture of even nice sized lot, some ranch style, even 2-story, but you also want a lot of trees, Larkspur is a great place to consider. The drawback though is that there are so many that you'll start seeing people cut them down because there's just so many, and it can be kind of frustrating or disappointing if you are wanting just every tree to stay up and you start seeing them come down. It's just kind of a little frustrating, but other than that, again, you can see how many trees are in there. Separate from that, 2 other neighborhoods I like. One is Bellamy Manor, which is down south of Larkspur, same general area, and going across Princess Anne Road down here near Providence Road, going through Fox Run, is the area right here. This is Bellamy Manor right here. These are about the same, 5 to 600. You'll see them again bump in the 625, 650 range, the big ones. 3, 4, 5 bedrooms, ranch style, great ranch style, and 2-story, but big tree coverage, and so it feels very natureful if you are in Bellamy Manor. And even if you go across the street to the other side of Providence Road, you'll see the same feel and a similar kind of price range. But the difference there is that you'll find more larger lots, like half an acre or more in a lot of these places on the south side of Providence Road over here. And that area is called Homestead. And another neighborhood in the same price range, but even bumping up over 6 in a lot of cases, is Kings Grant. I love Kings Grant a lot. It's one of my favorite neighborhoods in Virginia Beach. The school districts here are First Colonial as opposed to Kempsville and those other neighborhoods I was just talking about, which is part of the reason why you see a different price range. Houses inland, away from the water, they're going to be, 450 to 500 to start, but most of them are going to be between 500 to 700. You'll see a lot of 5 to 6s and 5 to 650s. But then as you get on the water or near water, 7 and up is very, very normal. But that's one of the reasons why I like this neighborhood, is because you can get houses in the lower price range, price bracket in this neighborhood and be close to waterfront properties that are well over $1 million, or even close to the water that are 7, 8, and 9. As you get especially closer to the back corner of an area called Royal Grant, which is back here in this back section, you'll see even the thicker tree coverage back here. It's real nice and real quiet back here. So you get both in Kings Grant. Now, as you notice too, this is right north, just north of Kings Forest and Malibu. Now, the other part of Kings Grant over here extends over into the southeastern section of Little Neck over here as well. So there are actually 2 sides of Kings Grant. One is over in the Kings Grant Elementary School District over on the southwestern eastern side, but also in the western side of Kings Grant is the Kingston Elementary School District, which to me I think is the most in demand, one of the more in demand school districts in the area. So you do find a little bit of a price difference in both sides of Kings Grant, but of the both, I'd find more demand is over in the western side of Kings Grant in Kingston Elementary School. But you might find more tree coverage over closer to the Kings Grant Elementary School District side, as you can see over here. Now let's go over to the $600,000 and $750,000 price range in Virginia Beach and start with Thorgood, which is one of my favorite all-around neighborhoods in the whole area. So zooming out, the northwestern side of Virginia Beach is close to Independence Boulevard and close to Route 13. This whole section right here is Thorgood, and you can see, again, looking at the aerial view, you see a lot of tree coverage. And you'll notice that a lot of these types of areas don't have HOAs, but with that, with a lot of trees and no HOA leads to, again, like I mentioned with Woods of Avalon, a lot of just a lot of pine needles and pine cones and leaves and just those types of things that just dump from the trees. And if you don't clean it up right away, it just feels like a kind of a disheveled part of town. But because the houses themselves, 20, in this case, Thorgood, 2,200, 2,000 square foot to 3,000 or 4,000 square feet. These types of houses with sprawling lots, big ranches, big 2-stories, but often pretty large size, nice size lot sizes, you'll see that the kind of the disheveledness of all the tree coverage and the things that fall is part of the charm of the neighborhood like Thorgood. Prices in here are going to be, like I said, starting in the 5s. You can find them in the 5s sometimes, but mostly in the 6s to 700, 800 price range. And you'll find, again, as you get closer to the water, which a lot of these neighborhoods that are on the water, you'll find the big houses that are on the water are going to be $1-2+ million. So, I like being near that, but not necessarily having to pay for it. Then going further south from there is a neighborhood called Theia, which I mentioned before in the Theia Manor part of town. This whole area, the rest of Theia, it can be anywhere from like the 5 to 6 range up into the $1+ million range, especially as you go along the water here. Theia Point, this island, Theia Island, real exclusive, not like 8 houses on the island, but it's very cool. A little bridge that goes across onto the island and nice, extremely awesome, picturesque views of the Elizabeth River. But coming off of here, 5 to 6 is very normal, but you'll find a lot of those 3,000 square foot range houses in the 6s to 750 price range. And again, these houses also have a lot of varieties of sizes of lots. So some are pretty standard postage stamp size lots, but then as you get higher in price, you get larger lots, bigger houses, 3,000 and plus square feet range. And these are also built in the 50s and 60s, which is where you'll find a lot of these houses that have those old mature trees. That's when a lot of these neighborhoods were built. And then also going further south, we'll talk about a neighborhood that I like because it's hard to find newer neighborhoods that are in areas that have mature trees. Now, you can't get the same expectation with a newer neighborhood like houses built in the 90s, 2000s and up with the same type of neighborhood because the trees just haven't developed like that. And as you go into the newer neighborhoods, a lot of those trees have been cut down, and so it just feels a bit more barren. So it's hard to find houses in the newer neighborhoods that feel like you're in that mature tree, well-wooded area. Christopher Farms isn't, again, like the ones we've talked about, but I think for a newer house, if you want the 6 to 750 price range, I would check Christopher Farms out. It's along going south into Holland Road. You see here, this right here, coming right off of Holland Road, close to Nemo Parkway. You have access from both sides, Holland Road and Princess Anne Road, so major roads you can get to both sides. It's got multiple lakes as well in there too. These houses, again, they're like 25 to 3,000 square feet. You see some at like 22, 23, most between 25 and 3,000. And these are going to be mostly in the $600,000 to $700,000 price range. I think that for what you get, age of house, all things considered, and the type of neighborhood, type of house style, just and the combination of that and the trees, I do think it's one of the better, newer types of neighborhoods with trees that you can find in Virginia Beach, especially for the price. Because you can find newer construction houses back deep into Little Neck, and you're paying over $1 million for it. That's not what this is, so I do like the fact you can get a lot cheaper in Christopher Farms. Let's go into the 800 and up price range, and this is where you'll find some real nice neighborhoods with really nice trees. A lot of different parts of the area is represented in this price range. Number one's going to be back into the western side of Virginia Beach, closer to, even almost close to Norfolk, is an area called Witch Duck. Witch Duck is on the northwestern side over into the Princess Anne School District, but you see this peninsula here. So coming off of Independence Boulevard, you see Thorgood over here. Across the water, this is Witch Duck, close to Witch Duck Point, and also Saw Pen Point, which is a part of the neighborhood in this Witch Duck area right over in here. big lots. We're really close to Independence, which I do like a lot because you're not that far away from town center, and you're closer to town center than you are Thorgood. But you're also paying a little bit more for these houses. They're a little bit larger. You find more that are going to be over 3,000, 3,500 square feet, but they're going to be 800 and up. And I do like the sizes of the lots in here. I like the character of the types of houses. They're very unique and not all the same. And again, all on the water. Again, of course, $1 million and over very easily all on the water. But coming off of there, you'll get some really unique houses in here. So I think that's the first one. I think coming off of Independence on the western side is one of the ones I'm a big fan of. And also going back over to Little Neck is, I'm going to say the rest of Little Neck is the part I would say is great, 800,000 and up. Now, there are some parts of Little Neck you'll find that are cheaper, but as you get further north in Little Neck, look, this is the deepest green you'll see. All through here. Middle Plantation, one of my favorite neighborhoods in all of Virginia Beach. I would almost made that one an individual neighborhood to talk about, but there's just so many back here. Little Neck Cove, Little Neck Point, Seabreeze. There's a lot of small neighborhoods in and around the north part of Little Neck that, again, for what you get, tree coverage, big tall trees. You look up, you often don't even see the sky because there's so many trees, almost too many in some cases. So anything on the north side of Little Neck, especially Middle Plantation, I'm a huge fan of. You can get a house in Middle Plantation less than $800,000 too, but wanted to group this. Generally speaking, you'll find a lot of these are going to be over $800,000. Now we're going to go over to Great Neck. Now Great Neck is a little bit more expensive compared to Little Neck. The house styles you get in the lower price ranges of Great Neck, to me, aren't as full of trees as you would find for the same price in Little Neck. But in Great Neck, you'll find some nice ones as you go further north. For example, Allenton and Bay Cliff, right next to each other, as you go off of Great Neck Road and Mill Dam Road. This is one of the most classic, historic parts of Virginia Beach. This whole neighborhood here, starting in the 6s and 7s, but a lot of these are going to be 800, 900, and especially over $1 million. Way over on the water. These are some awesome locations on the water. Then another one across on the other side is a place called Shorehaven, a very small neighborhood across off North Great Neck Road, close to the Great Neck Park, close to Cox High School. Down in the south section over here, right close to the water. These are going to be, again, 800 and up, but most of these are going to be starting over $1 million because a lot of these are going to be on the water, but same idea. And you'll find a lot of the areas on the edges of the coastlines in Great Neck and Little Neck have the extreme tree coverage that you might like. But these are some of my favorites. Because you can even find some as you go further down south, over towards like Lake Trant, towards Trant, Berkshire, Southern Point, all the areas around here. Big fan of those as well as a side note. But now as you go over to like even Lincoln Estates, right along the water on this side, also great tree coverage too. But next is going to be over towards the east side of Virginia Beach, near the beach, which you'd think no trees near the beach. Well, this is very close, but one of my favorite neighborhoods that's very hidden is Princess Anne Hills, which is on the side just south of First Landing State Park. This area right here has one of the most defined areas with hills in Virginia Beach. A really small little nook and area, but tons of trees. And so for what you can get different elevations with tree coverage all through there. So you can have water access if you're on the water, way over $1 million, but you can get even bike access or very close access to the beach, the actual ocean front on the other side across Atlantic Avenue. Then across Crystal Lake from there is Bay Colony, one of the most premier neighborhoods in all of Virginia Beach. You're going to find them 700 to start, 8, 9, $1 million. Even off the water, still over $1 million. But on the water, 2, 3, 4, and up $1 million. You're paying for everything. You're paying for being in a premier location. You're getting the trees. You're getting the feel of the house, the size of the house, the sizes of the lots, access to the beach. I mean, you're getting everything here. So it's going to be higher price, but man, the tree coverage is outstanding. Another of my favorites in Great Neck is Green Hill Farms, which is next to Chelsea. Both to me are great, and also around the Broad Bay section of Virginia Beach in Great Neck. This area has one of my favorite tree-lined streets in Virginia Beach, Green Hill Road, which goes back to a tucked away nook. Even off the water, you're going to be $700,000 to start, 8 to $1 million, and again on the water, $1 million and up. You see this quite a bit in these price ranges in Virginia Beach, but the tree coverage is to me some of my most favorite. Now, the other one that I think is worth mentioning on the south side of Virginia Beach, the southeastern corner, as you go towards Pungo, which has a lot of trees because it's country. Before you get to Pungo and before you get to Sandbridge, there's a neighborhood called Lagamar, which one of my favorite neighborhoods in Virginia Beach, but these are going to be, you can find houses in Lagamar in the 6s and 7s. A lot are going to be between 7 and 9. And now there are two different sides of Lagamar, which may affect the price range as well. There is the north side of Lagamar that is more newer houses. Those were built in the last 15 plus years, but even you get some newer construction or new construction in there. But on the south side, that's where to me, the awesome tree coverage is that you get. The older side of the neighborhood. These are going to be in the lower tier of price range. You can get them in the 6s and 7s, but if you go to the newer construction side, you're going to start in the 8s and 9s. So you get a little bit of a difference there. But the house styles in the south part of Lagamar can be a little bit random, which isn't, ideal for everybody. So if you don't like the kind of randomness of the type of neighborhood that has these types of trees and unique types of houses, this might not be the right type of neighborhood for you. But if you like that randomness, this is the place to go. Big houses, anywhere from 2,000 to 3,000 square feet up to 3, 4 and up. There's some big houses on some big lots. Big fan. And if you like golf, there's a golf course right next to the neighborhood called Hell's Point, which I've played on. Not a huge fan. It's fine. But the fact that it's next to the neighborhood, you can drive right there or just walk right there. It's pretty nice. It's a nice convenience. So one of the drawbacks, though, of being in a neighborhood like any of these that have tree coverages are that if you have not lived in one before, the tree coverage means what? Leaves will fall. They will dump. And if they dump in the wrong places, it can lead to blocked gutters. Your roof can be damaged over long term. It's hard to grow grass. Even if the leaves have fallen and it kills the grass, even then, if the tree coverage is too much and it blocks the sun, it keeps the grass from growing, as well as just keeping the yard clean and keeping the yard tidy. It's hard with all the leaves, and leaf blowers are super helpful, but that's a big deal. And you'll find as you drive down the street, you'll see a bunch of pine needle bags of people that just keep raking their leaves or needles up and putting them along the road as for the trash to come pick it up. You'll see that kind of thing in a neighborhood like a lot of these that you'll see with the high, thick tree coverage. Another drawbacks are going to be stuff like the roots can get underneath the crawl space or around the house, roots that get under or around the plumbing going to the street, that kind of thing that can really cause thousands and thousands of dollars worth of damage to the plumbing. That can happen. So while you get a lot of cool stuff with the tree coverage and the vibe of the neighborhood, the feel of the breeze, all that's great. But just keep in mind that there are definite upkeep drawbacks to living in a neighborhood that has so many trees in it. So if you have any more questions about relocating to Virginia Beach or anywhere from Virginia Beach through Hampton Roads, let me know. It's what I do. I love helping people relocate to the area. So if you have any questions, I have my contact information in the description. You can email me, call me, text me, and I'll do whatever I can to help you relocate to the area. And I will see you on the next video.